We got the founder of Impulse coming into the studio. Welcome, Sam.
Boom.
How you
Hey,
doing?
great to chat with you guys live.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear. I think we featured your post before. We've talked about you. We've always said that it's interesting that I feel like in some ways Impulse is kind of like a dividend of Anduril. It's not Anduril for stoves, but it's something that like people didn't think that you could start a new stove startup in a few years ago, and now you can. And so, give us the pitch. How you doing?
So basically, for context, though I think I overheard you guys talking about me before, but basically we make a stove that's about 7 times faster at boiling water than most other stoves. So like you can boil like 10 cups of water in like a minute and a half or something crazy. So like your mac and cheese is immediate.
Yeah.
But then it also lets you set an exact temperature, sort of like an oven. So it's like instead of low, medium, and high, you can turn our like cool magnetic knob to an exact number, and you don't get smoke. You can like fry with seed oil without seed oils for all of your esteemed health conscious followers.
I'm sure there's lots of fans.
And you can buy it right now at impulselabs.com. We ship in about 12 weeks.
That's amazing.
And you can lock in, current pricing at that point. I'll joke about that later.
Cool. and just like the technological innovation here is that there's like a massive battery pack.
There's a massive
right?
battery inside. So basically it's like value prop is you get this cool stove and it has all these capabilities you can't get in an air stove. It's like a fundamental leap in performance, but it wedges a battery into your house.
Cool.
And once we install enough of these, we actually deploy a decentralized battery network kind of across the grid. And you can actually get like more distribution of batteries than like Tesla Powerwall relatively straightforwardly if you essentially intercept the like 55 million major appliances sold every year in the United States. So like there's been like 400,000 total Powerwall installs in the US and Canada apparently. But like there's always an appliance installation truck on your block like every couple of days. So like it's actually this really interesting thing of you can actually deploy a crap ton of battery storage that way.
Yeah, and so that's the big vision, right?
Yeah, and then we've actually figured out how to get the distribution unlocked. So one is you could buy the stove at impulselabs.com. It's awesome. But we're also partnering with a bunch of major appliance OEMs to get the tech in there.
Cool.
And so that means that you can go to some random appliance showroom like Joe and Bob's Appliances, buy a brand you already know, and it might come with Impulse inside. So we're starting to roll that out over the next year.
Are you thinking about even... I'm sure you've thought about this, but I'm curious if you're doing it partnering with people that are building homes because that's a big
so it turns out interest rates being high means that that's a little less like high volume. It turns out that like you want to intercept where expensive appliances are made to start, because you're putting a battery in it, and like we managed to push the battery costs down substantially, but it's still something where it's like there's an item that's not in the BOM of a normal stove. And so you kind of want to start high end, very similar to Tesla and all this other stuff, but then where the high end appliance is sold kind of diffusely. So getting into these brands, having a standout brand of our own, but then also getting into brands that people are already buying lots of is the way to do that. And like I then have to talk to like 10 different OEMs versus thousands of developers. Basically it's actually like, and then you monetize the battery the same way either way. Like once the thing is installed, the battery's under our software control, and so we can sell that battery to utility. We can rent that battery to utilities for grid services and stuff like that. So we get access to revenue either way.
Awesome.
Wait, talk more about that. Like talk about the grid integration and getting that extra leverage and specifically recurring revenue.
Is the base value prop even beyond like selling energy back to the grid? Is it more just like if the power goes down in my neighborhood, this stove could potentially power my house for a couple hours a day? What am I thinking?
The stove itself works, and it's got an inverter so it can share power with the rest of your house. So if you've got like whole home backup, it will support that whole home backup.
Wow.
So it'll add it's like a quarter of a power wall basically. And so the vision is once we've rolled this out to multiple appliance categories and multiple brands, like you could just turn this thing on and you'll have you won't have to have a power wall. You'll just have this tech already in your.
I love the design of the product. How do you think about making smart tech stupidly sort of easy to use? Right. I have this. I got a.
If I need an app on my phone, I'm not.
So the other
we
day,
don't have an app.
No. So the other day, I walk into my bedroom and I go to like raise the blinds.
Yeah.
and it doesn't work. And I ask my wife about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we need to charge the blinds." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I look up, there's like a cord. I gotta like charge it once a year. I'm like, "Give me a break. I don't want to think about charging my blinds. It's hard enough keeping this thing charged."
Yeah,
right? So I think like we're entering into like there was like the last 10 years have been like the smart home era.
Yeah.
But everything
going back
in many
to the
ways,
dumb home.
Yeah, we need to get smarter, but also dumber at the same time.
Yes, we've been in the midwit home era.
It's the midwit home. It's the midwit home. It's the midwit home. It's like it's like, okay, does your smart home require someone who's like an IT expert to set it up, and then you don't want to touch anything because you'll like disconnect your light switch, and then by the way, like Google Home still doesn't have an LLM to it, and it still doesn't know how to set an alarm properly. And like if I ask it to play a certain piece of content, it thinks that I mispronounced it, even if I always request that content. Like it is actually crazy how bad this stuff is.
Yeah, it's wild.
But, what we realized was like, okay, people hate these touch panels on the stoves and stuff like that. So we figured out a way to do knobs where like they're magnetic and removable, so you can clean all the gunk underneath them.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was pretty cool. But then basically the UI is really simple. It's like it's the same as like a gas stove. It's like you basically push in and twist and you get heat. Like it's not like any sort of crazy. It's like and then the smart feature we realized was make it hold temperature accurately. So instead of like you can say low, medium, and high, we still have that, but like you also can say 315 degrees, and then like your eggs come out exactly the same every day. And the butter doesn't burn. Maybe it lightly browns. If you don't want the bottom of the egg to brown, you can set a lower temperature. But like basically we just give you like direct control over the thing that people actually want to do, which is not play back a smart recipe and like be on rails with New York Times cooking. It's like, no, I just want to be able to do the thing that good chefs are able to do by like hovering the pan over the burner and like doing all the right motions that they teach.
How do you think about what's your vision for humanoids in the home? Because it's not hard to imagine, you know, my humanoid going, grabbing the steak out of the fridge, slamming it on the impulse, and then, you know, just like, you know, doing that. But maybe they don't even need to touch the knobs, right? If you just have the integration, like they're just
so
like.
You don't really have to touch the knobs with our thing either, because you just turn it on once and then it's just like at the temperature. You don't have to mess with it. But like I realized that the number one automation in cooking was actually just holding temperature consistently on a pan. And if you can do that, you elevate a midwit cook to a decent cook. And so do that, and then that's kind of the 80-20 of kitchen automation. Like I cook at the office. I made some like crazy braised thing, and it was like super simple. I made rice without a rice cooker. Like you don't even need these accessories.
Yeah. Do you have a rule with your team where it's like you can't order out? Like you have to use the product every day at lunch?
Yeah, I gotta tell everyone that the tariffs are, you know, cutting into the lunch budget. No.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the tariffs and your supply chain. I'm sure you're impacted. It's impossible not to be.
And one thing I'll lead with is like we're in an interesting space because all of our competitors are also impacted. So like basically even the US made appliances, like, so if you go to like a Whirlpool factory, all the circuit boards in there are actually like made by like German or Chinese companies. And so, or a German company in China in many cases. So it's like, basically if you tear down any induction stove, you pretty much like see Chinese and German components inside, even if it's made in the US. And so for that reason, it's like, okay, we're building our stuff overseas. We're going to figure out, hey, what the lowest tariff regime is, you know, make it in Vatican City or whatever works.
Hopefully blessed by the Pope.
Yes.
We can commiserate over our Italian heritage, but our shared Italian heritage. But basically the point is like everyone's going to be impacted because inputs are impacted. So like even if I build a factory in let's call it like Phoenix, Arizona, I'm not like my sub-suppliers haven't onshored yet in volume. Like an example is like I'm an investor in Hadrian. Like Hadrian like does not have enough CNC machines to make all the world's iPhones yet. For instance, like it would take them a second. I'll overestimate. I'll be optimistic here, but it'll take them at least a second to get that capacity up and running. And this is going to happen across the board. So like the lesson from the last wave of tariffs was Vietnam. Basically, Vietnam was this like kind of quote unquote loophole country that now is seeing like 45+% tariffs or whatever. Yeah. But Vietnam the tariffs were only on China. There was a lot of Chinese manufacturers that just basically just drove across the border and set up a factory. And AirPods, all the engineering staff Chinese, like they're just flying in. It's kind of like 2-hour flight, 1-hour flight situation from Shenzhen. but effectively it's a Chinese-run factory. Now, to get the made in Vietnam, you had to actually make some of the components there. But what this meant was all of the large format injection molding machines, because what did people move there first? Televisions. They moved all the TVs, like $600 TVs and stuff like that. They moved them there, but that meant all large format molding machines are just completely occupied. And so, like, if we want plastic parts, like our induction coil assembly or something like that, want to do that in Vietnam, we probably couldn't find the machine. We'd have to import that part from China regardless, because the machine would be occupied. And then there's a back order of those machines and like all this other stuff. So it ended up like, even to get to this point where a ton of consumer electronics from like Samsung, LG, Meta, et cetera, moved to Vietnam, it took like 6 years or 5 or 6 years from when those tariffs kicked off. And so if you want like a preview of what like US reshoring would look like, it's going to be something of that nature, or prices are just going to go up a bit and people are going to put it in the line item at checkout. So like, weirdly enough, it's like we're insulated from this a little bit by making a high ticket item that's cool. And like, maybe we'll get permission to raise prices by other folks or whatever. I don't want to be the leader in that space because I think that would stick my neck out, but it's something where, and then additionally, like as a component supplier to all these appliance OEMs, where we actually make our money in software and recurring revenue from the battery storage, we're very insulated in that respect of the business. But it's something where like, I had kind of a reaction to this being like, it would be really cool if, I would have a different approach to reshoring manufacturing in the US, and it would be more around like making it legal to build a factory in San Francisco again and stuff like that, and stuff, or the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area again, without getting like angry NIMBYs on your ass, or having to build a tent in the parking lot like Elon did like 5 times. I mean, Elon's the only guy who did it because you have to basically operate in this like legal gray area.
Yeah. Where else are you seeing the most opportunity in home appliances or just like tech for the home? Ovens seem adjacent. I don't know what you take on fridges and microwaves.
We can do that with the battery really well.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's fun. Anything else come to mind?
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's actually there's some interesting. The home tech and the humanoids come to mind is like, I think just making a laundry machine that folds stuff at the end would be sick.
That'd be amazing.
People would spend like $5,000 on a laundry machine if it did that.
Totally. Yeah.
And you would basically reprice the whole like laundry market if you like, I think the tech for that is going to exist like next year.
Yeah, I think you just spawned like 5 YC companies with that.
Yeah. They can go license like Pi's models or whatever.
But I'm excited for that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, but so you can do that. We're actually thinking like, I want to be the index startup for anything with a power cord, effectively. So anything with a power cord, realize that like most appliances are used intermittently. And even within that intermittent use, they're not used at full power. Like you're not like blasting a turkey fryer level of power, which we can do. We can actually fry a turkey indoors on our thing. But you're not, even when you're frying a turkey, you don't need full power all the time. You just need it to boil. Yeah. And so
I want to be able to blow dry my hair in 2 seconds. And it's just
there's a problem with like maximum temperatures, and you don't want to burn your hair and stuff like that.
They've tried it.
But, yeah.
But basically, I think that there's this play where you can essentially realize that energy is used super intermittently, but the grid is sized for peak use all the way around. I think big power companies had really good explainers on a bunch of these things as well. But basically, we solve a similar set of issues, kind of like even at the more hyper local level than even at the home panel or something like that.
Sure.
But it turns out you can basically, any device that kind of has like high peak, low average draw, shove a battery in it and have an inverter in it. So when the device is not active, it's able to share the battery with the rest of the building. That's the vision. Get that into as many devices as possible. Turns out stoves are a kind of juicy target to start, and then go from there.
And why don't you just drop the link one more time for the fans who want to pick one up? Where do they go?
Impulselabs.com. And if you order it now, it ships in I think it'll ship like early summer. And we just got most of our compliance certs all like officially granted, and the rest of them should come very momentarily. So it's legal to install in your house as well, which is exciting.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
This was fun.
Thanks for hosting. I'll be around for peanut gallery on tariffs and trade and all that other stuff whenever you want. So
fantastic.
That'd be great. Yeah, you're a take smith, I can tell.
Yeah.
A take smith. That sounds terrible. Okay.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You got good takes.
Ready to fire them off.
Yeah, we need to slap an Impulse. We're getting a new studio soon.
You just put the stove in the middle, and you guys can do some hot pot or something. It'll work.
Yeah. I just want to be eating steak all day long throughout the show. I think that's my future for sure.
Do let me know if you want one down in LA. I can
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much, Sam. Great to
Great.
talk to you. We'll see you soon.